All right. Hi, guys. I don't know if anyone can even hear me just yet, or if anyone's even in. I'll give everybody a second to kind of sign on. All right. Hey, guys. Hi, Spin City. Okay, so we'll just give a couple people some time to come on, but I wanted to take some time tonight to talk about the Great Conjunction, something that a lot of people have been talking about, December 21st. It's going to be a big day coming up planetarily, and I think there's going to be a lot of energetic shifts. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that, to hop on here, because I heard a lot about it, and I've been hearing people talk about it, so I wanted to kind of just share my thoughts on it. So, all right, so basically, December 21st is coming up. It's going to be this Monday. So basically, Saturn and Jupiter are going to be conjunct in Aquarius. So a lot of people are saying that this is going to somehow signify a new era. So there's been a lot of talk about, dates historically. Even back in 2012, I think it was December 21st, or was it December 12th? I think it was December 21st. Was like supposed to be this huge date, right? We were supposed to have the apocalypse. It was going to be this crazy whole shebang, and obviously nothing happened. And so basically what's going to happen, why this is such a big deal, right? Some of you might be wondering, like, Great Conjunction, who cares? But basically the planets are going to be so close together in the sky, they're going to be like a very short distance from each other. So they're going to almost look like they're right on top of each other, which is super rare. I think the last time this happened was like, I think it was in the 1600s. 1623 was the last time that this happened. So it's pretty rare, like from an astrology point of view. And I just want to also kind of say, I'm not an astrologer. I'm not somebody that like knows this stuff in and out. I just want to kind of give my opinion on why this is so significant and why I think it's going to be kind of like ushering in a new era. So sometimes when things sort of shift planetarily, I mean, as above, so below, it almost always will kind of have an effect on us, whether we, believe in it or not. And some of you listening to this may have been experiencing some things like leading up to this Great Conjunction. Like I know for me, I've been having some neck pain. I've been having really vivid dreams, just some like different energetic stuff that I've been feeling for sure. So I know that it has an effect. So let's get into the juicy part here. What I think is actually going to happen on December 21st. And I want to start this off by saying I know there's some people out there that have been like, only the few are going to get saved. If you're a low viber, you're going to be left on the ground. The rest of us are going to beam up into the sky like aliens. We're going to be saved by some sort of alien race. And I don't think that's going to happen at all. I definitely don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a huge shift, though. So, you think about like the process of like death and rebirth. I think that this date is probably just going to signify like the death of old ways. And it's going to be ushering in sort of this new era, I think. So I think, from like a spiritual perspective, at least, this date is going to be significant because it's going to be sort of like this marking point of our collective conscious, like raising our vibration. So the reason I don't think that, some people are going to be saved, whatever, these people are going to be stuck on the ground, the rest of us are going to beam up into light orbs, like that's ridiculous. And it also, like, that there isn't that sense of duality, at least in my understanding. You think about collective consciousness, we are all inherently one, right? Like we're all connected to everything. So we're connected to the trees outside, the grass, like our water, whatever it might be. We're all connected. So it's not like a few of us are going to be saved and a few people are going to be left behind. I think it's going to more so represent a shift in raising our vibration as a planet. So the people that are already like in tune to this stuff, people that have, an intuitive sense, if you've been like exploring, energy frequencies, things like that, I think what's going to happen is if you're already in tune to that, what this date is going to signify is that everything is going to be elevated. So it's going to be marking this shift from 4D to 5D. So we're essentially going to be elevating not only our vibration as a collective, but also our consciousness. So if you're already someone that's been like exploring this, raising your vibration, I think you're going to feel the effects of that a lot more. I think it's also going to heighten our sense of intuition. I think it's going to be something that kind of allows us to have a higher capacity for empathy for other people, to dive inward. So I think it's going to be just a huge marking point of a shift towards like a new beginning, almost like a renaissance. I don't think it's as scary as some people are saying. I think that this is something that's necessary, and I think it's going to be kind of just like this dying off of old ways. You think about 2020 in the grand scheme of things, like this year has been a lot of darkness coming to light. So I think that that's what this is going to be like, further kind of solidifying, as well as just that like shedding of things that no longer serve us collectively, shedding of old belief systems, shedding of like an old way of thinking. So I think the other thing to point out is like to prepare for this. There's kind of like two ways that we can go moving forward, and even just in general, like especially with everything that's been going on in the state of this world right now. You can either like move forward through a place of fear, of a scarcity mindset, of distrust, of just all of this sort of low negative emotion, thinking that the world's against you, thinking that you're a victim. That's like one trajectory that we could go. The other side of that is sort of taking that, and this is a lot of what shadow work too is, like becoming aware of it, but then also making the changes necessary to sort of carve a new path for yourself and a new beginning. And by understanding that, becoming aware of it, we can then move on towards what we actually want, which is essentially raising our collective vibration, right? I think that's the end goal through all of this. And I think that this conjunction is going to be certainly, solidifying a lot of that for a lot of people. So let's talk about that kind of just on like a what's going to happen level. So kind of going back to what I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be something crazy that happens overnight, that some of us poof into light orbs, into UFOs, or like aliens walk among us. Like I really don't think that that's going to happen. I mean, there's a chance, right? Anything's possible, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think more of what is likely to happen is, like I said, heightened intuition, and a raising of our vibration. If we're already in tune to this stuff, I think it's going to be even more amplified, because you even think about like solar flares or the energy that happens from the planets. It absolutely has an effect on us. And to anybody that kind of doubts astrology or any of that impact, I always say, look at how the moons affect the tide. Like that is an undeniable way in which the planets affect that. So it would be kind of silly to think that the planets don't have an effect on us either. That's not to say that they totally control like what happens with us, but I do think that they do have an effect in that way. So I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about all this. Ways to prepare for it. This is something else I've been kind of thinking about. Like I said, you don't need to be preparing for, something crazy happening. But I think a good way to prepare for that would be to just raise your vibration on your own. So that might be, grounding. It might be through meditation. It might be, doing some stuff with crystals. Like I have some crystals here with me. Crystals are a great tool for grounding. If you haven't yet explored that, even for meditating as well. I also want to say that through this time, my meditations have been a lot more intense than usual. I've had some more interesting experiences. So if you're out there, if you're someone that's, following that kind of stuff, or you meditate as well, take note if you feel energetically, if you feel like anything different is going on or intensified is going on. I think that December 21st is just going to be intensifying that stuff all across the board. So it's going to be starting this new cycle. And I think it's like a 200-year cycle that it's going to be starting. So it's going to be a long time until the planets even align in this way again. So I think it's going to be starting just an entirely new cycle with that. And it's really going to be a chance for us to, improve our intuition, improve our capacity for empathy, for understanding, for raising our vibration, raising our consciousness too. The way I look at it is, I think why people are making such a big deal out of this is some people are saying, it's going to be this or that. You're either going to be in the new vibe or you're not going to be. And And I think that that's true to an extent. I don't think it's going to happen so drastically. I think what's more likely to happen is that the people who are working to raise their vibration, the people who are choosing to approach things or, elevate to a higher level of consciousness, it's going to be easier for them to magnify the results of that. So it's going to be easier to have that heightened intuition. Synchronicities too. I think synchronicity is going to be a huge part of that. For people that are in tune to this kind of stuff, definitely increase in synchronicities. So I think it really just comes down to a choice about where you stand, where you fall. There's a lot of people that are very much sucked into, fear right now in a lot of different ways. And so what happens is, energy flows where intention goes. So if we continue to serve that narrative of fear, of distrust, of lack, of, just all kinds of these, terrible emotions, we continue to feed that. What's going to happen is we're going to continue to move forward with that trajectory. So it's going to intensify and it's going to further solidify to us that which we are already, experiencing and bringing into our life. Where the inverse of that is if you're somebody who's already, doing the inner work or, in tune to this kind of stuff, I think what's going to happen is as we move forward, you're going to continue to raise your vibration. You're going to continue to have a lot more of those synchronistic experiences. Potentially even contact with ETs, guys. I'm going to just throw that out there too. I know that's super controversial, but whatever. I'm kind of done hiding my opinion at this point. I certainly believe in ETs. And I think that as we continue to raise our consciousness, that we're going to be able to communicate with them. I think that the reason why we aren't right now is just because mentally we're not there yet. We're not ready for it. But I think as we continue to raise our vibration, we'll be able to get there a little bit more. But what I also think is going to happen is, it's going to get a little bit harder to kind of switch over to that new trajectory of raising your vibration the longer that you're stuck in that lower state. So it's like the longer you're there, the longer you're feeding into that fear, the longer you're living in that 3D reality, right? It's going to be even harder for you to kind of, jump and transition out of it. And I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Okay. So the other way that I like to explain this is, everything that we have in front of us, we always have a different choice. So even though we might not be able to see everything, there's like infinite numbers of universes and possibilities that exist around us, within us. So I was telling someone earlier, like, you think about it, what if, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but like you're sitting down somewhere and you're like, what if I were to just like go over there right now and just start like dancing in public? Like, what would happen? There's a reality where that exists. There's a reality where you do that. There's a reality where I move this water cup a little bit further away and it creates a totally different like trajectory for my life. And you can almost think of it as like train tracks, right? It's like this infinite number of train tracks, infinite number of possibilities that exist within this very moment. And in any single moment, you have the ability to shift to a different reality. It kind of reminds me of like the movie Interstellar. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, where I think it's Matthew McConaughey is like floating through space, and I think that's who it is. And there's like all these, books of endless, infinite things that pass by. So that's essentially what, this experience is here. Like, we have the possibility and the capacity to switch and transition to any of these universes, any of these like realities that exist. So I think what's going to happen is once December 21st, comes into play, it's going to be that portal almost where energetically it's going to be even easier for us if we've been raising our vibration to shift from those different train tracks and to shift to the more optimal one. Whereas as I said earlier, if you're stuck at that low vibration, it's going to be a lot harder for you to transition to, an elevated state of being. But I think also, some people are saying like we should just leave behind, anybody that's whatever, anybody that's doing terrible things in the world, anybody that's not, seeking this truth, like whatever it might be. But I don't think that that's the right way to approach this. I mean, if we think about things again, we are all one energetically, collectively. We are all one. At least that's my understanding. We're connected to everything. So if you go by that logic, then there really isn't going to be this notion of like this savior complex of some people being, elevated to the next level of consciousness, some people being left behind. I think that's a bunch of bogus. But like I said, I think the people that are in that lower state of vibration are going to have to work a lot harder to raise their vibration to then kind of like ascend to this next level of consciousness. And I know that some of this might sound like hokey pokey to some of you, but this is honestly just my opinion, my understanding of what it is. And I think sometimes what happens is, pressure is always like a catalyst to change. So you even think about 2012, so many people were scared of that date. There was a lot of fear that went into it, and that fear energy just kind of created this pedestal almost around that date. But then nothing wound up happening. And I think what's happening here is there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of excitement around, December 21st. There's a lot of people that are building it up. And I think it's going to be a significant marker of death of an old way of being and an ushering in of a new way of being. And if you think about it, that's what a spiritual awakening is in a lot of senses of the word, people go through a great amount of pain or pressure, and that's their catalyst to change. That's their catalyst to seek that truth, to kind of transition. And I think that that's what the planet has been dealing with on a global scale right now. Everything that's been happening this year, in my honest opinion, on a global scale, this has been a crazy year, and I'm not undermining anyone's, hardships of anything that's happened. But I do feel like when this much pressure kicks in, when this much craziness and chaos is going on, it's almost like we have no choice but to make a new way and to sort of make a change and to sit back and reflect, face that shadow, right? This is like shadow work literally on a global scale, which is insane. But yeah, all in all, December 21st, don't be afraid of this date. If anyone's telling you to be scared of December 21st, they are stupid. Don't listen to them. I think it's a date to be really excited about. I'm super excited. And if you're looking for advice for what to do on December 21st, try to stay grounded if you can. There's a lot of energy going on, and sometimes grounding can really help with that excess energy, especially with solar flares. Try to get your body moving, integrate that energy into your body, maybe release it through exercise, whatever it is that resonates with you. Meditate with crystals. I have tons of crystals. If you guys are interested in hearing more about crystals and what I do with them, let me know. Meditation, grounding, inner reflection, sound healing is super powerful as well. I'm a huge believer in sound healing. Balance your chakras through that. You can, there's a lot of different things that you can do to prepare for this. And I think a huge part of it is to just let go of the fear, eliminate the fear. Fear doesn't serve you. There's no need to be afraid of what's going on. It's actually quite the inverse. I think it's a super exciting time. So December 21st. Mark your calendars, guys. If you live in North America, which I think most of you do, I don't believe you're going to be able to see this fully from the sky. I could be wrong. I think the visibility of this conjunction is a little bit better, I think, in the Southern Hemisphere. I could be wrong on that, but it is happening, and it's really exciting. And this is an ushering in of a new age, I think. And a lot of people in the spiritual community are super excited about this because this is our time now to just raise our vibe, to continue to do that, to continue to elevate the vibe of the planet too. And to just make a new way, because obviously this year has been pretty terrible. I think we can all agree on that. Things aren't working with the current way that they are, right? So I think that this is going to be an eye-opener on a global scale for a new way that we can sort of shift to that 5D consciousness that we're all looking for. Maybe that'll mean some ET contact too, guys. I certainly do believe so. I'd be curious to hear if any of you guys think anything's going to happen with ETs around this stuff. I know that sounds really woo-woo, whatever, but I am almost certain that if they're not here already, we're very close to connecting with them. Although I'm pretty sure they've been around for a while. I think the government's probably been covering that up. But yes, the Great Conjunction, guys, the Christmas star. Be on the lookout for it. Don't be afraid. This is a time for the planet to raise our vibration. This is probably one of the most exciting times to be alive. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, if you're somebody that's into spirituality, raising your vibration, universal energy, the law of attraction, this is your time to dive into that even more. Tap into that, spread the message of it. And get the word out. Like, this is our time to just really kind of like balance ourselves from within so that then we can help, everybody else around us. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys tonight. I just wanted to hop on here and share that with you. I'd be really curious to hear what your opinions are on what you think is going to happen. And I guess what will we have? Like 48 hours or something? We're going to find out soon enough what happens. But I don't think we're going to be poofing into little light orbs, flying into spaceships. That certainly, I don't think is going to happen. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys. We'll see what happens in 48 hours. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, we'll see what happens.